you're good. You're live.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining back in. I don't know if I have anybody watching yet, but I want to go over some of the questions here that I got yesterday on the last video on the test. I'm glad the live stream worked. Please comment someone in, let me know if the audio is good, because I'm using a little different system here today. I'm using a wireless lav mic instead of my other microphone, so I'm hoping this audio is working. If somebody can please comment and let me know. But I'm going to go through this list of questions here that I have. If any of you have any questions as we go along, feel free to ask them. I'll try to address them on either of the two bikes. Sorry, I'm probably blocking the bike. A lot of people gave me crap about the unboxing video of talking too much being in front of the bike. But has anybody commented that they can hear?
Darlene said hi.
Oh, hi Darlene, thanks for joining in. So I'm not going to read these in any particular order, but I'm going to go over the questions here that I had yesterday. So, Sir Yes, he was concerned about the lack of suspension because of having back issues. Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie, honestly, I thought at one point about putting front suspension on. That was before I purchased the bike and immediately after, but after riding the bike for a while, where I ride, I'm mostly on the roads. I don't miss not having suspension at all. I put one really big thing though that really helped out was the suspension seat post that I put on my bike here in a different seat, because I don't like the seat and my wife doesn't like the seat that came with the original Lectric. But the suspension seat post helped out tremendously with that, and I usually ride with right around 16 to 20 pounds of pressure in the tires, and the 4-inch fat tires really help cushion the ride. So I haven't seen a need for suspension. It actually makes the bike a little heavier, and the people that do the upgrades on the suspension, I've seen that after they do that, the bikes don't really fold correctly because the wheel is further down in the front and it puts more of an angle on the frame. So I don't want to lose any of that foldability, so I'm probably not going to upgrade mine. And like I said, I've been happy with just lowering the tire pressure, especially for where I ride. So unless you're really going off-road, like rocky environments and stuff, which these bikes, in my opinion, are not made for, and most people are not going to ride them in that kind of environment. I mean, yes, they will do well in off-road situations to some extent, but that's not really what these bikes are made for. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the suspension. So Sin City Bar Life wanted to know, how many hours do I get per day to ride? Well, if it was up to me, I'd ride every day, but with just life and working, probably only get a few hours per week. I work 8 to 10 hours a day at my normal job, and I just do this for fun on the side. Just YouTube channel, photography, video has been just a hobby of mine. So I started this channel a while back for pretty much just drone videos and stuff, but between working and making YouTube videos, I don't get a whole lot of time to ride. That's why I enjoy so much about making videos on this bike, because I get to enjoy riding it and I get to make YouTube videos, which is my hobby. So basically, to answer the question in short, is if we go on rides on the weekends, I get a good amount of hours in then, but usually in the evenings when I get home from work, my son will want to go and take a quick ride, so we'll go ride for maybe a half hour or so a few evenings, but I only get really a few hours per week. So Perry D wanted to know, how many inches lower is the step-thru? I don't know why I keep blocking the step-thru. Just tell me to get out of the way, guys. How many inches lower is the step-thru? So the step-thru, the pedals sit 2 inches lower. The bottom of the pedals sit 2 inches lower than on the original XP. And a lot of people were concerned about the clearance. And if you guys watched the last video that I made about the trail ride, I went over down a hill, and I kept the pedal down on the right hand side, or the left hand side I believe, just to see if it would scrape, and it did not. So I mean, it was close, but it was a pretty steep hill, and most people aren't going to ride in environments like that. So if you're just on level ground, or I mean not level ground, but I mean you could be going up hills and stuff, but if you're not going super off-roading with big boulders and tree stumps, which I said before that these bikes really aren't made for, you should not have a problem with those pedals being lower. And I'll try to show real quick. I'm going to do a full video on this later on, but I mean, you could lean the bike over pretty far until the pedals touch. That's when the pedals touch there. I mean, you're probably not, I mean, I never leaned this bike over that far while turning, but if you actually follow how you're supposed to ride a bike, when you're turning this way, normally your opposite foot is down anyway, and this leg's up and you're leaning. So, I mean, if you know what position you should be in when riding the bike, you shouldn't have any issues at all. I'm hoping everyone can hear me well. Is anybody commenting about?
SJ wants to know how much the suspension post is.
So this suspension seat post, you can get it anywhere between like $20 and $30. That's when they're in stock on Amazon. I think I paid like around $25 for this one when I bought it, but that was almost a year ago. I've noticed Amazon has really been out of stock a lot on a lot of stuff that I've been recommending, just bike stuff in general. Walmart, Amazon, everything. I mean, the amount of bikes that has been selling over the past few months has been crazy with everything that's been going on. And if you could find it in stock, what I recommend doing is putting it in, like if you're going to shop on Amazon, putting it in a wish list or a cart and just check back daily, because a lot of times those will come back in stock and then they'll go back out of stock really quickly. But in all my videos, I put links below to all my accessories that I use and recommend. So if you guys are interested, check those out. And I'm actually working on trying to set up like a storefront on Amazon, just so you guys can click on one link and it show everything, which would make it easier.
And Andy asked, have you ever used a Quadlock as a phone mount? I heard it's the best way to mount your phone.
So have I ever used a Quadlock as a phone mount? No, and I don't really know what that is. I do have a RAM mount that I use for my vehicle that has an X-grip mount that would work really well on the bikes. But to be honest, I like to keep the bikes light. And well, I mean, mine's not really light with all the tools and accessories I have in the bag on the back, but we just have a cheap phone mount on here that's plastic, and I got a different kind that's on my bike that's plastic that I have usually linked in the description below. But those tend to work well just on a bicycle. I mean, I don't need nothing super heavy and that's like for a motorcycle or something, because it's just a bicycle. It's not going to fly off. Not with the ones I use anyway. And that gets me to another question. Somebody asked what the blue thing was on the handlebars. That's just a phone mount. That's the one my wife uses. It works pretty well. I like the one I have, but not all phones will fit in the one that I have. I have an iPhone 8 and it fits really well in there because you just push it on there. It locks around there. With the case, it works really well. Hers is a little harder to get in, but I think it'll accept bigger phones. But I have the link to both of those in the description. So let's see. Darlene Lott. She wanted to know. She wanted to know what the blue thing was. That was the cell phone holder. Flexible Fortune wanted to know, now that we tried both, would I still get the XP original, or would I get the step-thru for myself, since having the lower center of gravity and the ability to be able to swap batteries between both bikes? So that's really a tough question. The more that I ride the step-thru, the more that I like it. I do really like the step-thru, but I also really like my bike just because of the looks. And if you're not going for looks, then yeah, I would recommend maybe getting both the same bike. That way you could swap the batteries between the two. If your significant other or whoever's other bike it wasn't going with you, you could take their battery, get twice the mileage on yours. Or if you wanted to buy one extra battery, you'd be able to, essentially swap it between the two bikes on a long ride, and you could get possibly maybe 15 more miles or 10 to 15 more miles per bike on that one extra battery. Just run the first battery halfway down, take it out, and then when your battery dies, put it in your bike, get the remainder of the battery in yours. So I mean, that's really a tough decision. I really do like the look of the original one, but as far as functionality, man, that's really a tough call. I mean, I do really like the step-thru. I've noticed when I ride this, like I don't even think about it, but when I'm riding it, I've noticed when I've been recording some of my videos, like when I come to a stop, I think it was in a little bit of the slow motion clip I did when I compared the two. Like I just hopped off, wasn't even thinking about it, and it was just so easy to get off. And I kind of, the more I ride it, the more I kind of like that. So that's really a tough question. Let's see, Bob. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention though, as far as the batteries go, yeah, I do wish they would have been the same, but in reality, if you compare the price of these batteries to most other bikes like Rad and some of the other models they have out there, some of the other competitor bikes, I mean, these batteries priced at $300 each is, I mean, yeah, the other batteries are more amp hours, but $300 each isn't bad for these batteries compared to like the $550 that some of the other brands want for a replacement battery. Okay, so Bob Bull wanted to know what mirror I'm using and where to purchase it. And the one that I have is the Hafni HF MRO87, and they have different size mirrors. I'll probably do another accessory video later on showing, because I got all kind of different new accessories. But you can get that on Amazon, and it's the little bit larger one. It's 68 millimeters. I think they make a 63 millimeter one too, but I wanted the little bit larger one. I think it's a stainless steel lens instead of glass, so it won't break, but I really like that. I actually bought one for my wife's bike as well, so I'm going to be, once I put her grips on, I'll be putting that on hers. Joseph Martino wanted to know, are the seat posts the same size on both bikes? No, they are not. The step-thru actually comes with a 400 millimeter seat post, and the original bike comes with a 500 millimeter seat post. Now, I replaced my original one with a Zoom suspension seat post, which is 350 millimeters. I'm about 5'8", and I don't have the need for the 500 millimeters. Now, if you needed that extra height, I believe that the ones that Lectric sells, the suspension seat posts, they are 500 millimeters and suspension, so that might be something good for you if you are, you know, say 6 foot something and need that extra height. So with that being said, your pedals are 2 inches lower, your seat post is 4 inches shorter, so essentially, you know, the original might be better for you if you're tall with the original seat post it comes with, but I think maybe this one would work better if you're tall, because if you got the other seat post or the 500 millimeter one from Lectric, you're essentially going to gain the extra 2 inches for your pedals, so you won't have to sit up so high off the ground, or, you know, because you got that extra 2 inches down on your pedal height there.
You do have some more questions in the live chat.
Okay, I'm going to check out all the questions. Sorry guys, I can't really monitor the questions. My wife's monitoring. I wanted to go through these ones here first, and then we'll go through some of the other ones. How many people are watching, babe?
70.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. So, Ray's Travel wanted to know, I keep blocking it, is there any cool trails around here? And how about night? How strong is the light? Okay, well, there is a lot of really nice trails around here. A lot of times we ride the Great Allegheny Passage, which is what's in most of my trail ride videos. The light on the front, yeah, it sucks. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The light on the front definitely is not very bright at night. It's like a real bluish. It's not real big. The light on the front does suck on the Lectric XPs, both of them. They're both the same. That's why if you watch my original accessory video, I recommend, I have a Shark, I think it's a Shark 500 light that I use. It's rechargeable. And there's a lot of people that have been replacing the lights on the front of their bikes, but some of the lights you buy, I think maybe Rad sells one that is actually, that you can actually plug in, I think, to the connector. I'm kind of leery about changing the light on the front. I have thought about it. You can actually buy the connector and wire your own light up, but you have to have a 48 volt light, one that's capable of 48 volts, not just 12 volt. And I've seen that a lot of people have blown out their controllers, or not completely blown them out, but when they hooked the light up, I guess it drew too much power and it caused the light to stay on constantly. I think maybe even if the bike was off, but the key was on, I think the light stayed on or something like that, and I just didn't want to take that chance. But the reason I haven't switched my light is, well, that's the number one reason, but I haven't switched it because I like to leave that one on in the daylight because it's still bright, like if you're looking at it, or if you're coming towards someone at night, the light still looks bright. It just doesn't broadcast a big bright beam on the ground in front of you. So I like to leave that on when I'm riding, that way people can see me. But if I need the other one at night, which I don't do a whole lot of night riding, I put that Shark 500 on her and it really lights up a lot. And I keep a few rechargeable flashlights in there as well, with the mount that it clips onto on my handlebars here, just in case the Shark dies or I need extra light. So, all right, here's another good one. TC Boone wanted to know, he wanted to get feedback on my hydraulic brake upgrade. So I upgraded the hydraulic brakes in the back. I haven't done the front, and I could not be happier with the way that they work. They really make it easy for adjustment, and that's one of the main reasons I changed them. And I needed new back brakes in the back anyway. Now the pads that they came with, that's the thing that you got to watch, because the pads that they came with are more of an organic pad instead of a ceramic metallic that the bikes come with from the factory. And those organic ones, they're not going to squeal when you hit the brakes as much. Like, there is no squeal at all when I hit my back brakes now. And they do work really well when you're on level ground and they're not hot. But I noticed the other day, me and my wife were traveling down into town, and I live on a big hill, and that hill's pretty long. Well, going down that hill, I was like, well, I'm going to test these back brakes out. I'm going to use mostly the back just to see, you know, how they're going to work down a long hill. And by the time I got to the bottom, they were actually burning. Like, you ever smell a car brake burning? Well, they were actually burning. I didn't see any smoke, but you could smell it. My rotor was really black, and that was because they are organic and they got hot. They don't dissipate the heat as well as like a semi-metallic or a metallic, or a like I said, the ones that it comes with, which is ceramic metallic. So that's the only thing. Now, I still had the ceramic metallic in the front, which I'm probably going to leave up there, or if I do change, once those wear down, I probably will change the front to the hydraulic caliper. I'll probably keep the resin ones in the back, or the organic ones, and that way, because I use the back a lot when I'm just on level ground, because they're really quiet, they stop really well. And then if I'm going downhill, then I have the different pad in the front to stop me going down the hill, so that will help out with that. So on that note of the hydraulic upgrade, I know Sonny Whitehurst had changed his, and he had a problem when he changed, because the calipers are a little wider. When he changed the front, he said that one of his spokes was hitting that caliper, and he couldn't quite get them adjusted to where it wasn't hitting. So he had to shim the rotor out or something. He showed pictures of how he shimmed the rotor out to make it work. Now, I wouldn't really recommend that. What I think maybe you could do is get a 180 millimeter rotor on the front and a different bracket, because the further your spokes get back from here, they taper in, so you'd have a little more room there. So I think the 180 millimeter rotor, which is actually better anyway, would work a lot better with the hydraulics up front. But I've seen a lot of other people on the Facebook forum change those, even in the front, and not have any problems. So that might have just been something with his bike. But that's just something to keep in mind if you guys do decide that you want to upgrade. But really, the hydraulics are way easier to adjust because you don't have that screw in the back and it squeezes from both sides. So if you guys haven't seen my video on that, make sure you guys check it out. It's really good, worth watching. Oh, here comes the kids. Just crashed on the bike. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, so that's all the questions I had. So now I'm going to try to open this up and...
Yeah, someone said they live on a second-story apartment and they want to see you pick up the step-thru so they can get a feel for, like, how they would carry it up their stairs. Okay,
well... Okay, so to be honest, either one of these bikes, when you fold them up, they're going to be really hard to pick up. They're 63 pounds with the battery. You could take the battery out and that would make it about, I believe, 6 or 7 pounds lighter. But now, grant you, I probably have about maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 pounds extra on here, but the bikes are not light. I mean, I could pick it up, but I could feel the weight. I mean, I could definitely feel the weight. You might be able to... Maybe, yeah, well, I don't know about walk mode, but you might be able to kind of like hold the back brake. And I mean, I got some steps over there, but that may be kind of hard to show. Maybe I'll show that in the future. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think, let's see here. Picking that one up. Let me see if I pick the other one up. I think it's going to be easier to carry the step-thru. Yeah. I believe it's going to be a lot easier to carry the step-thru because the handle's a lot lower. So you can have the bike higher. You can have the bike higher when you're just standing. So the step-thru is definitely going to be easier to carry. When they're folded up, they're both really awkward to pick up just because the way they, I mean, it's just really awkward to try to grab and pick up and move around. So I don't know. You might have a problem getting it up 2 stories. It just depends on your build, how strong you are, and stuff like that. I mean, you probably could do it though.
he plans on doing food deliveries around his city using Lectric. Do you think these bikes are good for this?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could definitely do some food deliveries on them, but you would need to probably modify the back rack somehow to put some kind of bigger bin or something on the back to where you'd be able to carry food around.
Even a milk crate, maybe?
Milk crate might not be big enough, but I mean, you might be able to mount something bigger on there, unless you want with the big milk crate, maybe. Put your food, yeah, absolutely. I don't see a problem with it at all. I believe the rack holds somewhere around 50 or 55 pounds, so you have plenty of weight that you could put on there. I doubt you're going to be delivering 55 pounds of food at one time. So, I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Someone asked if they have any coupons. I don't believe so.
No, they don't. The only thing that I know of is they give you the free bags. Usually if you use a coupon code, I'm sure if you watch a lot of the videos on these bikes, I believe there was a few before. I don't know if they still work. You can try them though. One was like Fate Unbound, one was Tech We Want, one was Kev Central. I believe I used the Kev Central on the one when I bought my original XP. I think there might have been a few other ones. If anybody knows, please put it down in the comments of if you ordered a bike recently and the code worked. I believe somebody said that there was a code that still worked. You could always email them too and ask them. I don't know, maybe mention my name, maybe I'll throw them in for you, I don't know. But
and she also asked about the quality of those saddlebags. What do you think of them?
I mean, they're cheap, but they do really work well. I mean, we've used them. We have a little cooler that we put about 6 bottles of water and an ice pack in, and we usually put them in one side, on the side where the kickstand is. That way, if you park, the weight's on that side. We've put that in there. I mean, we've been using them. They have been working well. Some of the stitching has started to come out on mine just a little bit, but thankfully my wife's a seamstress, so she can stitch that up with no problems. But I mean, they're cheap bags, but they do get the job done. They do hold a decent amount. If you can get them for free, I mean, hey, they'll probably last you a while, no problem. But one thing I really recommend is this bag here. It took me a while to buy it because it is so expensive, but once I bought it, I'm really glad I did. I'm probably going to do a full review on that. If you've seen my, heck, I did so many videos on these bikes, I don't remember which video it was. I think it was, it might have been on the comparison video. I might have talked about that a little bit, but that's a really good bag that the panniers fold down on and stuff like that. So.
Someone wants to know about your frame bag.
A frame bag, yeah, that's awesome too. Actually, so what I did was I purchased 2 of these for my bike. This is actually the other one, and there's a strap that goes around the front. It's a B-sole, and like I said, everything's linked down in the description of my videos. I'll put links in this video at the end after it gets posted of all my accessories. But that bag has been awesome. I usually put my wallet in the one side, and I have a remote for an alarm that I have on here now, and my keys and everything like that I'm always, want really accessible. Or if I'm charging my phone, sometimes I'll put, actually it has a Velcro thing that goes on here that has a spot for a cell phone like this here. So I keep that in the back, and that Velcro's on here. And what I have in there, it's a solar power rechargeable pack, and I can run that up to my phone if my phone's dying. This is actually meant for a cell phone, but what I don't like about that is on my phone it has the touch fingerprint sensor to unlock it, and this case does not work with that. So unless I put that home button on the face of my iPhone, then it would work, but I just didn't like doing that, so I just use it for this, and this actually works really well. So, but anyway, what I was saying was I bought 2 of these bags for my bike for one of 2 reasons. One was for more storage, and then the other reason was to block out the name of the Lectric, because a lot of times when I'm riding, I don't want Lectric showing, because if you're on a bike trail, or I don't know, I've never had a problem with it yet, but if you're on the bike trail or maybe down in town and the police see you or whatever, they might give you a problem. Like I said, I've passed many of police officers. None of them have given me a problem, but I don't ride like an idiot either. I keep, I'm I don't go flying 28 miles an hour down the road, put it that way. When I'm in town, when I'm on the back roads, yeah, absolutely I do. But when I'm in town and stuff, I just travel because I like to see things. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I bought this bike, was to get out, get some exercise and see different things. There's places and roads that I've lived here for 20 years, and there's places and roads that I've rode down on my bicycle that I haven't seen in 20 years. So I just get out and explore, and I like to just cruise slow and take in the scenery.
Is there a reason you went with the 1128 free wheel instead of the 1134?
Yeah, so the 11 to 28 has been working out really well for me. I did think about the 11 to 34, but at the time, not many people use them on their bikes. And I'm the type of person that I do tons of research on everything, no matter what I buy. I mean, you can ask my wife, it drives her nuts. I do tons of research. When I buy something, I don't have a lot of money, so when I buy something, I want to buy it right the first time and not have to buy it again. So I was just a little unsure if the 11 to 34 was going to fit on there. As far as the derailleur goes, I didn't know if that 34 was going to be too big, and wasn't sure if it was going to shift and everything. Apparently it works well with the chain and everything that's already on there, and it does work, I've heard. But with that being said, I mean, I don't regret the 11 to 28. Where I ride, it's been perfect for me. And the only reason you would need that 34 tooth is if you have like super steep hills, or if your battery died and you wanted it to be a lot easier to pedal on the way home, but you're going to be pedaling really fast, like a hamster, I guess, because it is going to make it a lot easier to pedal. But I mean, I have some pretty steep hills around here, and I have not had a problem yet with the 28 tooth gear, so that's why I went with the 11 to 28.
And it makes a difference from the stock?
Oh yeah, it makes a huge difference. I mean, if you, I don't know if anybody is new here, but if you are, check out my Lectric XP playlist. I have tons of videos on everything pretty much that I do to these bikes, but I keep blocking the step-thru. I have tons of videos, but I did a comparison on it, and it makes a difference at when you're trying to get a higher speed. It doesn't really make you go faster, but it lets you contribute more. You could still get to the same speed with the original 13 to 28, I think it is. You could still get to the same speed because you don't even have to really contribute. As long as you're not using the throttle and you're just acting like you're pedaling, you cannot be putting any pressure, and you're still going to get up to that top speed. But I like to have pressure on them pedals when I'm pedaling, because two reasons: I like to get exercise, and I like to contribute because that's going to make my battery, last longer on trips. So that's the reason I changed it. But it doesn't make you go faster unless you can push really hard and actually put your own power into it. Then yes, it will make you go faster. But for me, it's a better experience pedaling, and it's just a lot better when you're trying to go higher speeds.
Someone wants to know how tall you are, and they said they're 6'1", and they want to know how they would look on the bike. So if you want to tell them about your
All right, so I'm about 5'8", and if you wanted to see how you look on this video being tall, watch my size comparison video, because her parents were in for Christmas, and we did a video on that, and her dad is like 6'4", I believe. 6'6", yeah, 6'6", I think. So I had him ride the original XP, and I tried it with the original seat post. It was 500 millimeters, and also with my 350 millimeter zoom seat post, and you could see the size comparison on there. When he had that 500 millimeter seat post all the way up, I mean, I was like, wow, that looks like a clown bike. It was so crazy looking. But when he got on it and rode it, I was like, whoa, actually, it fits you pretty good. So I would recommend checking out that video, and it's probably going to answer a lot of your questions about how you would look on the bike. So, and answer your question about my height, I'm about 5'8". So
Darlene wants to know how you clean your bike.
So how do I clean my bike? So I've never hosed it off. I've never been caught in the rain with it either, though. I don't take it through mud or anything like that. But I have basically just like a spray mist and wipe. You can get it at any auto parts store or on Amazon or whatever, but I think Meguiar's makes one. I think that's the one I have now. But I just spray it on there and just wipe it off with a cloth. As far as water resistance goes, some people have said that I don't know. That's an iffy thing. I mean, it's supposed to be water resistant. Is it waterproof? I don't know, but I mean, would you leave your cell phone out in the rain? I mean, you have a digital display. I mean, maybe you would if you have a newer one that's waterproof, but I've been always cautious about getting it wet. You probably could, you might be able to. I've heard of people getting stuck in rainstorms and not had any issues, but I've heard of people getting stuck getting their bikes wet and maybe their display showing a little bit of moisture too. So I mean, that's really hard to say. But long story short, I just use a mist and wipe. I spray it on there, wipe it off, and it kind of like puts a little waxy film on there too. So that makes it really easy.
How many miles do you get out of one charge?
So I get anywhere between 18 to 30, and that's really hard too because the mileage, we haven't been riding this one too long. I think we might have 50 or 60 miles on it, but my bike I have over 300 on, and that's a little hard too because my mileage has always been off. So my initial mileage test, I've said I got 18 to 20 miles, but it was actually more than that because my odometer, I think in 20 miles is probably off 4 or 5 miles. So I actually went like 24, 25 miles. But I get a minimum of 20 miles. I've gotten up to 30 miles on the last charge because we rode a lot of that on the bike trail that was flat. And then I come home and rode around here on some hills and stuff, you know, across the street in the parking lot and everything. And I got around 30 miles. So you can get it, that really depends a lot on your size, your weight, the terrain that you're riding on. Like I said, I keep my air pressure down a little bit lower than normal, you know, a little bit lower than what the tires call for just to get more cushion. So that's going to affect your mileage, hills. There's a lot of different variables in how far you're going to get on one of these batteries. But I mean, I haven't needed an extra battery. I don't go on, you know, 50-mile trips. So the most we've ever gone was, I think, 20 to 25 miles per trip, and that's pretty far. Would it be nice to have an extra one? Yeah, it would be. And I might get one. I might get an extra battery just because, but then you got to figure out where you're going to carry it at. That's the thing. Like, I'd probably make something maybe. If I do get one, I'm going to make something on the rack so it sits down on top of the rack and then my bag goes on top of that. But I haven't really needed one, so I've been putting it off on buying an extra one because I'm going to wait as long as I can, because then once I buy one, then the warranty on it would probably be from then. So I haven't really needed it yet, so I haven't really bought one yet.
Someone said they want to cover up all the Lectric name branding. Would electrical tape be sufficient, or what would you recommend? I've seen people use like craft vinyl.
Yeah, I would recommend electrical tape. Might look a little bit
I don't know.
not too good, and yeah, I would probably go with like a craft vinyl. You could probably get some at, I don't know, my wife does all kind of crafts. Michael's, Hobby Lobby, stuff like that, Amazon. I did buy some, if you see my accessory video, I bought some reflective arrows. They actually, when light hits them, they reflect, which would be great at night. I bought that initially, was going to put them on my bike there, you know, to cover that up with arrows. I've seen a few people on the Facebook forum do that. But the only reason I haven't covered up the name yet, honestly, is because I enjoy the bike so much that I want people to know what I'm riding and want to get it out there, because what the company is, you know, doing with producing these bikes at this price and trying to get people just out on bikes, I mean, to me, I really appreciate that, because I would have never bought a bike that was more than $900. I mean, I didn't even want to spend that much on a bike, but I'm glad I did now that I got one. So that's the only reason I haven't blocked it out yet. But a lot of people were talking about peeling the Lectric stickers off. You cannot do that. They're clear coated on. I mean, unless you're sanding it down, you're not going to take those labels off. So you can cover them up, no doubt. Honestly, if I did it, I would use some kind of reflective. I believe they have a reflective vinyl also that you might be able to get Sign Shop or wherever. I would cover it up with some kind of reflective vinyl. I think you can get like a black or a white reflective, and then that way at night you'd be really illuminated if, you know, cars were shining their lights on you and people would actually see you. So it would be a benefit in that way.
Does the battery charger shut off automatically when the battery is charged? Yes,
it does. So it's red whenever you plug it in, and once you get up to 54, well, on this bike it's 54.6 volts. Once it gets to that, it automatically shuts off. It turns green, the charger turns green and shuts off. On my wife's bike, I believe it's only been getting up to 54.1 volts. I'm not quite sure why.
Oh, they can't hear me, so you have to tell them. You have to repeat like what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Oh, nah. So somebody wanted to know, does the battery charger shut off automatically? So yeah, that, like I said, when you plug it in, it's red. When it gets charged at 54.6 volts, it's fully charged. Once, like I said, I don't know why hers only charges to 54.1, but when we went out on the bike trail, she had more voltage left than me when I was done, but she was probably pedaling more, and you can see that in my other video. Is there any other good questions?
Does the side mirror really come in handy?
Yes, actually it does. I was kind of against, I didn't really like the look of them at first, and I was kind of against putting the mirror on there, just because I don't know, I didn't think I needed it, but now that I have it, it actually comes in handy. So when we're riding, if I don't really ride on the road at all with my kid, but if for some reason we had to, that comes in handy because I would stay behind and I would know when cars were coming without having to turn all the way around. But even just for me, when I'm riding on the road, I do ride the road a lot, out the backcountry roads. I can pretty much monitor in that mirror without constantly turning around, and I have an idea when cars are coming up on me. I don't think you really need one on both sides. I always stay to the right when I'm riding, so I put it on the left side so that I can kind of see, you know, over my left shoulder. Now, they do have the mirrors that come up off the handlebars, but I've heard people complain about them seeing their shoulder when they look into them. So that's why I went with the mirror that goes in the end of the handlebar. If you don't change your grips, you'll have to cut a hole in the end of your grip and slide it in there. But I changed mine to foam grips, and I'm probably going to change my wife's to the foam silicone grips as well. So yeah, I think it comes in handy.
Somebody asked about your opinion on the handlebars breaking off.
Okay, so I had a feeling that was going to come up. So
You gotta say the question again because they can't hear me.
So somebody asked about my opinion on the handlebars breaking off, and this is my opinion. I mean, they sold 20,000 of these bikes probably by now. It was I know they sold 15,000 a few months ago. I think they're up over 20,000 now. They're going to probably have a few bikes that have problems here and there. Now, I'm not saying that it's actually a problem of the bike. I mean, you don't know what these, you know, happened to these people while their stems broke. I know the guys that broke, I think last week, he actually had a lot of miles on his bike, and he said he replaced the Lectric Xp bearing that he replaced on there. And I don't believe he initially said this in his post, but he replaced the bearing, and when he bolted the steering shaft back down on there, he said that he may have over-tightened that bolt. I mean, that could have been the case. That could have contributed to it breaking, and he had an older bike, which wouldn't have been one of the newer ones that were breaking up in here. So that could have been part of the reason his broke. I know the first guys that broke, I believe he said that he hit a log or something. Like I said, these aren't really off-road bikes. I mean, it could be a number of things. I'm not saying that this is what, you know, people have done, but if they have their handlebars up past the minimum height, that's going to put more leverage on breaking them off. So you want to be cautious about going past the minimum height. I have noticed on the newer bikes that the top half of the handlebar shaft is actually 2 inches longer than on the older models like mine, which gives more bar in here, which would probably make it stronger, but you can't put them down as low. And trust me, when I got my wife's bike, I really inspected it good. I folded it down and looked in there, and it looks like actually there's like a tube that comes up in here, kind of. It's not just a weld. To me, I put my pinky in there, and I could feel there's like a tube that goes up in there, so that I would think that that made it stronger. So I don't see an issue with it. I don't know, unfortunately, maybe there was a few bad handlebars in the batch of 20,000 bikes, but I think there was maybe 3 people's that broke, 3 in 20,000. I mean, yeah, they shouldn't break at all, but I mean, you don't know how hard people are on the bikes. Not saying they were, but you just, there's so many factors that it could have been. Honestly, what I do and what I recommend is inspect your whole bike while you're riding. When you stop, you know, just take a quick glance, like do a pre-trip, a post-trip, whatever. Just like when you're driving a big truck. I mean, look over the stuff. Look at the known areas. You know, look at around there before you ride it, or while you're riding when you come to a stop. I mean, you know, pull on it, just take a look at it. If you see a crack starting, I mean, some of those things are going to help. But I don't know. I mean, I've not had a problem with either of mine, and I've taken mine on. You've seen in my last trail video, I've taken it on some up that little incline of that abandoned building that we found. I mean, that was a pretty off-road area. I mean, I haven't had a problem. So it probably depends a lot on how aggressive you are too on riding. I mean, if you're really, you know, getting into pedaling up hills, grabbing your bars like this, which I don't do. I let the motor do some work and I put some pedaling in and usually sit down because I'm usually filming. But I mean, there's going to be a lot of factors, but I haven't had any issues. I don't think, I mean, if I ever do, trust me, I'll be making a video about it, I'm sure, but I don't know. I would just keep an eye on things, but all bikes have problems. I've just seen on the RAD Facebook forum, because I'm groups on all these different forums because I like to know different things, you know, and I seen where somebody posted that their seat post, not the post itself, but the frame here broke all the way around, and I was kind of surprised to see that. So they were talking about having to weld it. So, I mean, things break, guys. I mean, you know, I don't know. So.
How's pedaling without battery power?
Okay, so someone asked how's pedaling without battery power. So these bikes are 63 pounds. They are hard to pedal if you're on any sort of incline. If you're on level ground, I haven't had a problem pedaling a few miles. I did a video actually on this, how hard it is to pedal without the motor or without PAS, and showed that I pedaled the first few miles without it. It is definitely a lot more difficult than a regular bike. And if you're going uphill, I could definitely say just forget about it. You're not going to make it. Maybe that's where the 11 to 34 would come in handy on the back, on the Freewheel. If you change it to 11 to 34, it might help. But even then, I mean, with the fat tires and the weight of the bike, it's going to be hard to pedal uphill. If you're on level ground, you shouldn't have a problem going a few miles for sure. But once you get riding the bike and you're monitoring your voltage for your current, you know when you should be turning around, what you should be doing and what you should not be. Once it gets down to around 43 volts on mine, it starts to limit you a little bit as far as amps go. And you're going to be out of power pretty soon. If you're on a straight stretch, it's still going to work pretty good, but if you're around any hills and you hit 43 volts, you're going to be pedaling.
Someone wants to know if the power bill went up at all.
No, somebody want to know if the power bill went up at all. No, I mean,
Maybe if you were charging it every day.
it does not. I mean, I could figure it out, but it's a 2 amp charger. It takes about 6 amps or 6 hours to charge from a completely dead battery or somewhere around there. I mean, it's pennies every time you charge it. It's not much at all. And to be honest, I was keeping a tally every time I charged it because I wanted to see how many charge cycles I can get out of my battery. But they're supposed to be rated for, I think, at least 800 charges or more. And I probably only have, I don't even know, maybe 20 full charges on it.
What pressure do you keep your tires at?
So my tires, I usually keep anywhere between 16 to 20 pounds. I actually keep just slightly more pressure in the back tire than I do in the front. I keep the front a little bit lower because I feel like there's more weight on the back, so I put a little more pressure in there, but usually anywhere between 16 to 20 pounds.
How much have you spent on modifying your bike?
How much have I spent on modifying my bike? Actually, not really that much. I mean,
You do it
a lot of the stuff, yeah, I mean, like I said before, usually before I buy something, I'm online searching and researching, reading reviews, watching stuff. I mean, making sure I get what I want the first time. The only thing that I bought that I rebought was the back bag because I didn't want to spend the money on it, but now that I did, I'm glad I did. That's probably the most expensive thing I bought, and I believe it was like $80 or something. I think they're $90 now. They were $60 originally when I was looking at them, but the price of everything has gone up since December or November of last year. But back in November of last year is when I bought a lot of the stuff, like the seat post, the seat. The seat I actually got on sale one day on Amazon for $19, which is crazy because I've seen them go all the way up to like $40 just because of supply and demand. But the phone mount, I think I paid around 10 bucks for it when I bought it. The mirror 15 cup holder thing I got on clearance at Walmart. The B-sole bag was like 15 bucks. I mean, honestly, not a whole lot, maybe a few hundred. The brake calipers are 40, Freewheel, maybe $200, 300 max on accessories, but I don't even think it was that much. But I mean, that's with everything, you know. So, I mean, that's with like tool kits. I got a CO2 inflator for my tires and a pump, the light.
People were asking about that, so go ahead and talk more about your pump and your inflator and everything that you have.
Okay, so like I said, I'm probably going to be doing another accessory video because since the first accessory video I had, which has I can't believe it. It has like 30,000 views now, which is amazing. And like I said, Amazon has been sold out of so much stuff. I get comments every day about them being sold out of stuff. Like I said, let me know when links aren't working, because I try to find stuff on there that is similar or the same and fix the links that aren't working. That's why I'm hoping to get like a store set up so it's a lot easier. It's not going to be my store. It's just going to be a page on Amazon where all the stuff I recommend is. But I got a CO2 inflator. Basically, I've never.
See you when you're behind the bike.
Okay, I've never used it yet. Actually, I keep it in my bag here.
Someone asked if you slime your tires.
I keep it in my bag here with the spare tube, little CO2 inflator, just in case, with 2 cartridges. Like I said, I've never had to use it yet, so I don't even know if I will have to use it, because I do have a small pump that I keep in this pouch. This pouch here I usually have on my bike, but I've been riding my wife's bike lately, so I've strapped it on here. But on my bike, I really like how it fits right here. It's just an under seat bag, and I put it right here, and that's pretty much my tire patch kit. It's not big enough for a tube or anything, but it has a patch kit, a hand pump in there, some tools and stuff like that I would need. But I do have the CO2 inflator, like I said, just in case. Got that at Walmart. But somebody asked if I slam my tires. No, I have not. I have over 300 miles on my bike and have not had a flat yet, knock on wood. We don't have what's called goat heads. I didn't even know there was such a thing, but I guess a lot of people have goat heads and they're real spiky things. If you have those, I feel for you, because I wouldn't want those around here, but we don't have those. I haven't really had any problems with any flats yet. I actually rode over a little bit of glass, so I'm glad I haven't gotten a flat from that. But I don't really feel the need to slime it. If I get a flat, I'll probably just patch it right then and there on the side of the road, or I carry a spare tube, I'll change it, which I'm sure would be a lot harder, but I believe you could patch the tube without even taking the rim off the bike. If you take the tire off on one side, you could probably pop the tube out, fix your hole, and put the tire back on without even taking it off the bike, hopefully, if the hole's not that bad. So I haven't slimed it. I really don't have any experience with slime, so I can't tell you if it works or if it doesn't. It might work to get you back, maybe home, but then you're gonna have to fix it anyway. I don't know. If I break down, I'll just call somebody and say, hey, come get me. I'll fold the bike up, put it in the car, and head home. Maybe call an Uber, I don't know.
Do you know what the other PO settings are that aren't listed in the manual?
Yeah, but I don't know what they are off the top of my head. I do have a list of all of them. The Facebook forum had it posted on there at some point. I think it's almost the same as the Natco controller or the Natco bikes. I think they have a controller that's almost the same, and they had a thing for all the settings. I do have that list, but like I said, you can only change certain ones, so I haven't really felt the need to share it or even remember it, because you can only change certain settings like your speed, your max speed setting. You could change your tire. Well, on the new bikes, you could change your tire size. On mine, you cannot. Now, the initial bikes that first came out, like the very first bikes they sold, the controller was completely unlocked. You can change any setting, but a lot of people were messing those settings up, going in there, changing stuff they shouldn't. So Lectric locked a lot of those down that weren't supposed to be changed, like the voltage is supposed to be set at 48 volts. The peak amps are supposed to be set at 20. Stuff like that they locked down. But unfortunately, on my bike, they locked down the tire size setting, which is a little irritating because my odometer has been off and there's no way for me to fix that. So I complained about it. I'm sure a lot of other people have. So on the newer bikes, I believe they unlocked the tire size setting, and you can dial your odometer in to get really close. Actually, I did. If you see my last video on the trail ride, I was playing with it, trying to get my wife's bike, dialed in, and I had it set to, I think, 22.7, I believe, and it was really close on the odometer. So my bike's set at 20-inch tire size, so there's like 2.7-inch difference there between hers and mine. So I forget what the question was again, but
Did you slime your tires?
oh, do it.
Was that the last question?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, any more questions?
What would you consider your number one accessory?
Number one accessory would definitely be the suspension seat post and seat. I mean, I've never tried the seat without the seat post or vice versa, so I don't know if just one would make, I'm sure just the seat would make a difference too, but maybe the seat. I don't know. It's really a cross between the two. I have the Cloud9 Select Comfort seat. It's the one with the hole in the middle. Now I did see the other seat without the hole, and I'm pretty sure that, in my opinion, the seat without the hole might not be as soft as the one I have. But that would probably be in my opinion, the best investment, because I like comfort when I ride. So that seat I've seen is not for everyone. There's a lot of people that don't like that seat. It's pretty much trial and error, I guess, on your part, but I mean, I recommend it. I think it works really well for me. My wife didn't think that she would like it. She thought that the original electric seat was fine, so she rode on it on that long 20-mile trail ride. I think it was 19.2 miles or something, and she said that she wished she upgraded. So this seat that I actually have on our bike right now, I believe that's the aftermarket seat that Lectric sells, the bigger one. I'm not quite sure if it's exactly the same, because I won that one on the Facebook forum when Chris put it out there to, make a video about the Lectrics, and I did, and I actually won that seat. So and he got it from Lectric way back before they even sold them. So I won that. I put it on. In my opinion, yeah, it's better because it has the suspension in the back, the spring, but I don't believe it's a little bit weird though. Maybe because it doesn't have the suspension seat post. If it had the suspension seat post, it would probably be, I wouldn't say comparable to mine, because I still believe that the Cloud9 seat that I have is still more comfortable. But with that being said, the springs on here do seem a lot weaker than on mine, so that might be better for you if you're lighter. But I don't even know if I really need the springs on mine, because the suspension seat post really works and takes most of the spring, in that post itself. Well, it's actually getting a little dark. I didn't plan on going this long, but how many people are still watching?
144.
Wow.
Does walk mode help going upstairs?
I don't know. I never really tried it.
I'll have to make a video on it.
I don't know if I would do walk mode or just use the throttle. You could put it in PAS1 and just use the throttle to go up the steps. Walk mode, it might work. Yeah, that probably would be safer than trying to use the throttle, but I would recommend keeping your hand on the lever, just in case something would happen. You could pull that lever and it shut the walk mode off. Maybe I'll make a video on that one day, trying to go up some steps. I don't really have a lot of steps here. Well, actually I do in my stairwell. I could probably do a video maybe coming up the steps on that.
Have you tried any aftermarket batteries? I see up to 14 amp hour on AliExpress that look to have the same dimensions and connector.
Okay, so somebody asked, have I tried any aftermarket batteries with the 14.4 amp hour battery, I believe it is, that's on AliExpress? No, I have not. A lot of people have, and they said that they have been working well. They get a lot more range. I've been a little leery about ordering a battery off of there, because it's kind of unclear which one you're ordering size-wise, because they have a few different sizes listed, but a lot of people did and have had good results with it. But over long term, I'm not sure what kind of results they're going to have, because I don't know what kind of cells they are. I believe these are LG cells in these batteries. In those ones, it could be any kind of cells, and initially they might work well, but over time they might not work as well. You might not get a good lifetime overall out of them. So no, I have not tried them, and if I did buy an aftermarket battery, those are really tempting, because they're around the same price, a little bit more, but you do get a charger with them. So I don't know. If you don't, it's kind of nice, because I wish Lectric would maybe make a bigger battery and just charge a little bit more, because it is nice not to have to carry another battery but still get that extra mileage. But I haven't needed to go over 20 to 25 miles per trip anyway, so no, I have not tried one.
If this is my first XP, which one do you recommend, the step-thru or the original?
So somebody wanted to know which one I would recommend for their first XP. That's a really tough decision. Like I said, I kind of like the look of the original one still a little bit better. That's just my personal opinion. Functionality wise, they both work really great. This one does give you more leg extension if you're taller or shorter. You can keep the seat lower and still get that leg extension. So it really depends on I would say on your size. I don't think weight so much would matter, because both bikes have the same battery, the same motor. So I don't think you'd gain any difference there. But maybe where you ride, the terrain, with the 2 inches difference of clearance on the original than the step-thru, that might be a factor for you. The only one thing that I did notice that is a little bit tougher on the step through is when you're removing the battery, just because the angle of the frame, it's just a little bit harder to, get, it's more pointed down. But I mean, that's a really tough decision. I mean, you really have to make your own choice on that, based on if you, I don't know, there's a lot of factors that you just have to decide yourself on which one you like better.
Recommendations on bike locks?
Okay, so somebody had recommendations on bike locks. I use a disc brake lock on the disc if I'm just running in somewhere real quick, and you can see that in my original accessory video. I do have a cable lock, which I don't like and I don't really recommend, but I do carry it with me. I haven't really used it much, but maybe I'll run it through the seat post or something so nobody steals my seat if I'm somewhere. But haven't really left my bike many places yet. I'm still leery about leaving it, but I do have a really good Kryptonite Evolution Series lock, I believe it is, and it's 5 foot long, and it's a beast. It's heavy. I bought that because the lock picking lawyer really recommended it. If you have never seen any of his videos, I recommend it. They get addicting. He picks locks in like 20 seconds, but he recommended that chain lock, so I bought it, and it is a beast. It's about 10 pounds, but I bought the long one because I wanted to be able to, not limit myself to what I had to lock around if I was locking around something big. They do make a noose one too, which I thought would have been pretty cool, but that one's more money, but you could stretch it out longer, kind of put a noose around your bike and then stretch it out and around something. But I wasn't sure how the other end was going to lock on that. That's why I didn't buy that one. But long story short, yeah, I have the Kryptonite chain lock. I could put it in the Rock Bros bag if I want, or sometimes I could wrap it around here a bunch of times and put it there, but I might put that in my next accessory video. But it's definitely really heavy, really hard to carry if you don't have a good bag or something like that. But if you want something that's secure, I definitely recommend it, because the only way you're going to cut that lock is with a grinder. If you don't have a grinder with a cutoff wheel, if you have a pair of snips, bolt cutters, you're not going to cut through that lock, I don't think. I think there were some videos on YouTube about it, and that's what I wanted. I want something that was not going to be easily, cut with a pair of bolt cutters or a saw. The only way they're going to be able to cut it was with a grinder. So, and don't lock it around. Somebody put a video about they cut their seat post down, so they did a little funny video, and they cut this real quick with a grinder, and that's only aluminum. So do not lock your bike to just that. I mean, wrap it down around through here. So if they're not going to cut that and ruin the bike, so put it down through here. Do not put it through here. I mean, you could go through here, but also make sure you go through something like there.
Did you say the tires are a different size between the two bikes?
No, the tires are the same size. They're both 20 by 4. I did notice some of the newer bikes are coming with both of my bikes have the CST BFT tires, and I think some of the newer bikes come with Chow Yang or something like that. You might get the CSTs, you might get the Chow Yangs. That maybe they ran out of stock on the CSTs, so they had to switch, which it's either switch tires probably or don't ship the bikes. What would you prefer? I would prefer to get my bike with different tires. They're probably equal in quality, I would imagine.
What do you have for replacement tires? Do you suggest anything for replacement tires?
So what do I recommend for replacement tires? I don't know, and I haven't had to replace mine yet. I've thought about going with like more of a street tire. I forget which company sells them, but they almost look like a motorcycle tire. And I thought about those, but I do kind of like the knobbies for certain situations. A lot of times we'll ride on the bike trail, which is gravel, or I did a test in the snow. If you've seen that video, those slick tires would not be good for that, even though I don't really ride in the snow because I don't want the salt on my bike and everything around where we live. The salt situation around here is crazy. My truck is actually, the frame's rotting out, which really irritates me. But that's a whole nother video story, whatever. But I don't really know what tires I would recommend. I don't know. These tires have been good for me. A lot of people complained about them, saying they got flats a lot initially. I think maybe a lot of that had to do with, check your rim strip, make sure it's on correctly. If you watched my fix on my bike with my speedometer going out, how I fixed it, I show in there how to check that rim strip to make sure it's on correctly, so none of your spokes are showing, and that might prevent you from having a flat So definitely check that.
Have you had any accidents, and what are your helmet recommendations?
So have I had any accidents and helmet recommendations? No, I have not. I have not had any accidents. Helmet recommendations, I've never owned them, but I heard the Senna R1s, which are probably out of stock right now everywhere, are excellent helmets. They have communication in them that you can communicate back and forth. I would love to get a set of those. To be honest, I haven't wanted to spend the money on them. I just have cheap helmets from Walmart. I have a cheap one, and my wife has a cheap one. I think they're Bell helmets from Walmart. They were about $20 a piece or so. That's just what we use for now, but I would love in the future to possibly get a set of the Sennas. That way we can communicate to each other while we're riding. And it would definitely be beneficial for us because a lot of times I'm in the front of her and she's behind me because my bike's faster than hers on the PAS levels because they're just, mine's an older generation where PAS 1 was a little faster than the new PAS level 1.
Have you ever thought about changing the chain ring?
Have I ever thought about changing the chain ring? No, I have not. Really, it's not worth it for me. I find my bikes with the chain rings, I think it's a 52 tooth now. I find that it works well. There's really no need for me to change that.
How has the hydraulic brakes worked out for you since you installed them?
I don't know if you're just tuning in, but they wanted to know how the hydraulic brakes have held out since I've installed them. But after this video is posted, if you rewind, or I think you can rewind now on the live stream, but I talked about the hydraulics, about me putting them on and losing power going down a long hill, but that's only because of the type of brake pads that came on the new ones. But overall, the hydraulic brake cylinders have worked out really well. Any other questions?
Someone asked if you had a problem with your latch while you're riding.
So someone wanted to know if I had a problem with the latch while riding. No, I have not. I have not had a problem with either bike. Now, my wife's bike, when I first got it, I did notice that it was just slightly loose. I did tighten it up a little bit, and the way you tighten that up, this is probably going to be hard. I should probably do a closer video, but this little bolt here, you probably can't see it. I'm probably too far away, but there's a little bolt here that goes in your latch there. If you loosen that up, it takes that bolt out some, and it puts more tension on that when you close it. So you could tighten that up a little bit there, but there's also a little pin where your lock clips onto, and you want to make sure, I would do this before you ride every ride. Try to pull it open and see if that pin is actually, that lock is actually catching that pin. That's two things you want to definitely check before every ride, but I have not had a problem with my latch at all. I know Lectric recommended if your pin wasn't engaging with this lock, they recommended taking that pin out and flipping it over and putting it in from the top, and then your threads on that pin, I guess, would be showing, and it's thicker, and then that lock would engage it. I think that on a Facebook forum or something, but no, I have not had any issues with the lock.
Someone wants to know about your alarm/horn on your bike.
Yeah, so that, yeah.
If it was a rad
Honestly, it's pretty much exactly the same one as that's on rad. I don't know if, let's see here. So this is it right here, but you can see how mine's red in the center, and that's because I bought that one off AliExpress. It was about $36, I believe, when I bought it off there. They sell one with just the horn, and then they sell the one with the horn and the alarm. I bought the one with the horn and the alarm. It's exactly the same remote that the one that Rad Power Bike sells. It's probably the exact same horn. But, if they have them in stock for 50 bucks, that's not a bad deal considering I paid like 36 for that one, extra 14 bucks. I don't know if shipping's free through Rad or not, or if you have to pay, but that thing is definitely loud. I don't even really want to use it on the bike trail, it's so loud, but the only thing that I didn't like about that, and I'll go into further detail about it on my next accessory video, but it is very loud, but it's not quite as sensitive as I would like it to be as far as the alarm goes. But then again, you don't want it too sensitive, because I did buy one of those cheap Seatpost alarms, and it was so sensitive that it would just randomly go off if a truck went by or any vibration at all. And it was the one that was remote controlled, so I didn't even use it because it was too sensitive. I don't want false alarms going off every time I'm out.
Does the step-thru feel it has a better center of gravity?
So somebody wants to know if the step-thru has a better center of gravity. I should really have hooked my wife up with a microphone so y'all could hear her. Yes, actually it does. It has a better center of gravity. It's lower. It feels a lot less. The bike is not any lighter than the original, but it does feel a lot less heavy on top. When you're riding it and just controlling it in general, it does feel lighter on top because more of the weight is lower. So yes, it definitely does feel like it has lower center of gravity.
People are asking about the fork upgrade.
Fork upgrade?
I guess they want to know if you intend to do it or why you're not going to do it, which I think you touched on in the beginning.
Yeah, I touched on that in the beginning of the video about the fork upgrade, about the suspension fork, and I mean, yeah, it would be cool, but then you kind of lose some of the functionality of folding the bike, which is what I don't want to lose. I've seen where when people put the front suspension fork on, it extends the wheel down further, and then when you try to fold the bike, this wheel is down further and it doesn't sit right. So I didn't want to lose that functionality. Plus, I didn't find it cost effective enough for me. I lower the pressure in the front, and that is enough suspension for me. Air suspension in the front would be kind of cool. I mean, but some of the other cheap bikes, I rode a Rad the other day at one of my son's bike races. The guy had a Rad, an older Rad, and it just had the cheap spring suspension in the front, and it did make a little bit of a difference, but it was just a cheap spring suspension, so it wasn't nothing great. If it was like an air suspension or something, it would probably have been a lot better, but I don't know. I'm probably not ever going to upgrade mine. Maybe in the future I might buy one that has suspension and then it still folds or whatever, but I don't feel the need to upgrade these ones.
Can you pull back the handlebar or the stem?
So somebody wanted to know if you could pull back the handlebar or stem. Yes, you can roll the handlebars back slightly because of the way they're curved. If you roll them back, you will get a little bit less reach on them, which is what I did for my wife because she felt like she had to reach a little bit too far. So I rolled those back as far as I could, which brought them back maybe, I don't know, maybe an inch or so from what they were. And then I made sure that the seat was up all the way on the rail as far as I could get it. That way she had less reach to reach the handlebars. Now, I did see somebody say that you can flip the stem around and it would angle the stem the other way, but I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't really alter that in any way.
Is the rear tire hard to remove?
So if somebody wanted to know, is the rear tire hard to remove? If you've seen any of my other videos about me changing the freewheel or fixing my speedometer issue, you'll see that I removed the tire by hand without any special tools on my bike. My bike's the only one that I had the rear tire off of, and no, it was not very difficult to remove. I was able to pull it apart by hand and push it out with my thumbs. So for my bike personally, no, it wasn't. I had it flipped over, so it was easier to work on. It was a little trickier to get it back in, to get it lined up with the brake caliper because I didn't take the caliper off, but I didn't find it difficult at all to remove. I know some people had a really hard time on the earlier bikes getting it out, but supposedly they were supposed to, I think, make it better. Some people were saying the newer bikes were easier. I don't know personally. I've never had the step-thru rear wheel removed, but it's a different design anyway, so I haven't had a problem.
Someone wants to know how tall I am because their wife is asking for a step-thru.
5'3".
Yeah, 5'3.5".
Yeah, so somebody wanted to know how tall my wife was. She's 5'3", 5'3.5". And if you actually watch my size comparison video, you will see her riding that bike because it shows from 5'3" to 6'6". That's a good comparison video for that bike. Unfortunately, her parents don't live close to us, or I would do the same size comparison on this bike, but I am planning on maybe in the future doing a size comparison, finding an older woman, somebody that's friends of ours maybe, or something to ride the bike. Her grandmother would be great, but I don't know if I can get her on the bike. Her grandmother's really short. Like what, 5 foot maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I don't know if we'll be able to get her on the bike or not, but this has been, how many people were watching?
144.
Wow, 144 people, that's crazy. Okay, I didn't think it was gonna go on this long. It's actually starting to get dark. That's actually why I started this live stream a little
The lighting still looks good.
earlier. Oh, okay. I started a little earlier than what I was gonna start at 8, but I'm glad I didn't because I started at 7 because it got dark pretty quick last night after I ended the test live stream. Put in the comments below, guys, if you guys found this helpful. I might maybe do future live streams. I don't know. This is, like I said, this is actually my first real one. Please let me know how the sound is. Like I said, I'm using a different lavalier mic here instead of the microphone I was using yesterday. Let me know if it sounds good. And any more questions?
Can you use throttle in zero pedal assist?
No, you cannot. That is one thing that I wish you could do.
They don't know what I just said.
So somebody wants to know if you can use the throttle in the PAS 0 mode. No, you cannot. When it's in PAS 0, it's like a regular bicycle. You could shift through the gears regularly and pedal, but the throttle does not work. There's no assist at all. If you kick it in PAS 1, you don't have to pedal and you can use the throttle. You can use the throttle in any PAS mode, 1 through 5, just not in PAS 0. That is one thing that I did like on the rad bike that I rode at my son's race. Is I noticed that when it was in PAS 0, the throttle did still work, and actually he had a little button on the throttle to turn it on and off, which was pretty cool. But I don't even think that the newer bikes are like that. His was older, so I can't speak for the newer models, but on his I thought that was pretty cool that you could still use the PAS or the throttle on PAS 0.
Have you had to replace the rear tire due to tread?
No, I have not, but luckily, since my problem was my back wheel on my speedometer, they sent me a whole new rim and tire, so I actually got a new tire, but I had 300 miles on my other one, and actually probably a lot more than that, probably closer to 350 or even maybe 375 because my odometer is off. But I still had tread on the back tire, and I do mostly road riding, so you could probably get, I would say, maybe 500 miles or so out of back tire before you would need to even think about maybe putting a new tire on.
Will low pressure cause the wheel to become untrue?
Low pressure caused the wheel. Will low pressure cause the wheel to become untrue? I'm not really sure. I don't think it would. I'm not sure on that one, to be honest. One thing you do have to check occasionally is your spokes, your tightness of your spokes. You want to make sure that the spokes are tight. Eventually they will work themselves loose here and there. So I believe it's, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, it's like a 4.2 millimeter or something spoke wrench. Somewhere around there, don't hold me to that. But you do want, if you get a creaking noise every now and then when the tire comes around, I had it happen one time on mine. It was just a loose spoke. I just tightened it up, snugged it up. I made sure all of them were snug, but you have to be careful. You don't want to tighten them too tight and put your rim out of true, because that's how you true a rim, is by tightening the spokes. But if you don't feel comfortable doing any of the modifications, I would definitely take it to a bike shop for something like that.
Do you use the throttle to start, and does the throttle get stronger in each PAS mode, or does it just turn it on?
So somebody wants to know if I use the throttle to start and if it gets stronger in each PAS mode, or does it just come on? So sometimes I do use the throttle to start. Actually, a lot of times, I mean, it really all depends. I mean, honestly, I don't even think about it. I just ride it, and however I don't even really think about it. I just go, you know what I mean? So yeah, I do use it a lot, especially if you're on a hill. Starting it does come in handy. If you're a shorter person and you kind of have to jump up on the seat, then yes, that will, like on the regular bike. On this one, you won't have that much of a problem, but that will come in handy because you can put one foot on the pedal, use your throttle to get going, and then get up on the seat. You just have to remember when you stop, you're gonna have to jump off your seat to put your feet down. They also wanted to know if the PAS levels got strong, or the throttle got stronger in each PAS level. No, it does not. It's the same through at 1 through 5. If you don't change your speed setting for your max speed to bump it up to 28 miles per hour, your throttle will get you to about 20 miles per hour if your battery's fully charged. No matter what level you're in, as long as you're not pedaling. If you're not pedaling and just using the throttle, it's going to cap you around 20 miles per hour, no matter what. If you want to get that max, reach that max speed, you got to let off the throttle in PAS 5, have your settings turned up, and then just pedaling. You don't even really have to contribute any power. As long as it knows your pedals are turning, it will get you up to that max speed, but it is hard to maintain 28 miles per hour. 24, 25 miles per hour is a little bit more realistic to keep that. Excuse me. Any other questions?
People are asking about slime again.
Somebody else asked about slime. Sorry about that, guys.
A lot of people are recommending it. They're saying you should use it.
Okay, so a lot of people are recommending slime. I appreciate it. Like I said, I've never used it. I don't know, maybe in the future if I start having some bad experiences with flat, I'll slime them. But like I said, as of now, I don't plan on doing that.
If
So,
I know how to ride a typical non-electric bike, how hard is the learning curve to get on this comfortably?
so somebody wanted to know if they what was it, if they typically ride.
If they've only ever ridden a non-electric
Okay,
bike.
so if somebody wants to know if they've only ever ridden a non-electric bike, what was the learning curve of getting on an electric bike? I don't know. It all depends on your personal experience with bikes and stuff. You can always put it in PAS 0 and just pedal it and get used to it before you kick it in PAS 1, which is what I recommend anyway. I don't think it's that difficult. I mean, the bike is definitely heavier, so you kind of got to get used to that. But I mean, in my opinion, I don't think it's very difficult.
No, I feel like it's an easy transition.
Yeah, my wife felt like it was an easy transition too. I mean, she never really rode an electric bike. I mean, before I bought my Lectric XP, I never rode an electric bike. But then again, I've ridden dirt bikes, motorcycles, quads, everything my whole life. So it was an easy transition for me. But I don't think that it's really a steep learning curve. Once you learn your PAS levels and your throttle, that's really the main thing that you want to be cautious of when you first start riding. Like I said, I would definitely recommend starting out in PAS 0 in a flat parking lot and just get used to pedaling the bike at first. Kick it into PAS 1, start out gradually on a straight stretch, do not pedal in turns, and just get used to it. And I put some of these tips in my what you need to know about your first electric bike or about your new Lectric XP in that video. And I'll link a playlist down below once this video posts to the playlist on all my videos. So if you guys want to look at any of those videos, it'll tell you, you'll learn most of the stuff about these bikes through them videos. And if anyone has any recommendations on any future videos, please let me know, because sometimes I run out of ideas.
Corey wants to know which you enjoy riding more.
Okay, so Corey wants to know which one I enjoy riding more. That's, like I said before, that's a tough decision. I mean, honestly, lately I've been finding myself wanting to take my wife's bike more. Part of that's for testing. I wanted to get out and actually ride it more so I can communicate that experience back to you guys. But the more that I ride it, honestly, the more that I like it, because the lower step through, like I said before, when I'm videoing stuff, even, when I stop and just jump off of it, I don't even think about it. I just throw my leg over, when I come to a stop and I'm just like this, it's just so quick and easy. Like, I don't even think about it. But I really do enjoy riding the step through as well. It's really a tough decision between the two. If it were actually up to me to pick which one, it would be a tough decision. And honestly, if you've seen in the Facebook little post, or even in my unboxing video, my wife was really excited when she got this. And I think she was more excited about it being white than about her bike actually showing up, because she really wanted the white one. And I didn't like the white at first, to be honest, but honestly now, after having it and riding it, I kind of like the white because it is a little bit more noticeable at nighttime. Like even right now, it's getting a little bit dark out here. You could probably notice the white one's a lot more noticeable for drivers to be able to see you and other people seeing you when you're on the bike.
Do you feel safe riding a folding e-bike, especially the step-thru?
Okay, so somebody wanted to know if I feel safe riding a folding e-bike, especially the step-thru. Yeah, I mean, I feel comfortable on both bikes. I mean, you've seen a lot of my videos where and I probably shouldn't be doing this and I don't recommend this, but I'm riding one-handed with the GoPro in my other hand. Some of those videos, when I'm doing my speed test, I'm doing 25, 28 miles per hour. I feel safer. I would never do that. Like I said, I do a pre-trip on the bike every time before I get on it, just to make sure that there's nothing, but that's not to say something can't happen. I mean, your chain could come off, which it's never happened to me, but that could happen. I mean, maybe your hinge would pop open. I mean, you've got to be cautious, and I would recommend being cautious, but I do definitely feel safe on them being a folding bike. I mean, the hinge is pretty strong and secure. I do like the way on my hinge on the newer model, when they originally came out, they were more like this, how they butted up against each other, and on mine it kind of like wraps over a little bit. I do feel like that one would be a little bit stronger the way it wraps over. I don't know, they went back to this style on these ones. I'm not sure if they're all going to be like that, but I feel comfortable on them. I mean, I don't see any issues. I don't, like I said, I don't do any super off-roading. I don't jump off curbs. I mean, that's not what these bikes are made for. You know, I don't jump off curbs. I don't ride over logs or over big boulders or nothing like that. So, I mean, I ride through the grass. I ride, you know, I mean, probably the extent of what you, like if you watched my trail ride video of coming up out of that thing, like that's the, the biggest extent of off-roading that I really do.
Madeline just got hers and she can't take her battery out.
Okay, so Madeline just got hers and can't get her battery out. So you have to make sure there's two positions on the key. You have to make sure that the key, once you turn the bike off and can remove the key, you can actually turn the key further to unlock the battery. And there's a little pin that comes through the side of the frame. First, you want to make sure that pin is not sticking out through your frame. You want to make sure that pin's in and your key's removed. And then one of the other main things is you want to make sure this little rubber plug on your charge port.
Ooh, that's really bright.
My wife brought the bright lights out. So I don't know how far we're going to get before my microphone dies. I charged everything up beforehand, but you want to make sure that that rubber plug is removed from your battery, or that rubber plug is going to prevent your battery from sliding out. If you have your battery definitely unlocked, your key out and that rubber plug out, your battery should almost fall out. If you can't get it out then there's got to be some other issue. But be careful opening your bike up when all those, if you watched my What You Should Know video, you got to watch opening your bike up when all that stuff is out, because your battery probably will just slide out. I've actually had that happen to me on mine, where I had the battery unlocked, the key out, and the rubber plug out. When I opened my bike, the battery slid out and almost hit the ground, and luckily I caught it beforehand. So yeah, that I would definitely make sure that pin is not locking your battery in first. That would be my first thing to check, and then the rubber plug. So any other questions?
Someone was asking about the grips. Are they hard on your hands? You've upgraded your grips.
I upgraded my grips to a silicone foam grip. I think Wolf Tooth or something, I think, makes one. And then they sell some cheaper ones. I have links in the description below of the different grips. But I just bought the set of cheap foam grips. I think Etsy or something makes a pair. But I upgraded them. They are a little hard, but I mean, they're ergonomic, so they have like a teardrop thing kind of hanging down on the bottom for your palm to set on. I mean, I haven't really had a problem with the original grips, but I just wanted something a little more comfortable, and so I figured I would try the silicone foam out, and they've been working well, and I'm actually going to change my wife's over to them too. So,
Do you charge the battery with it in the bike, or you take it out?
Okay, so somebody wants to know if I charge the battery in the bike or if I take it out. So I have charged it out of the bike, but most of the time I charge it in the bike, because if you charge it in the bike, you can turn the bike on and see what level you're at. You can, while it's charging, you can turn your display on and switch to your voltage, and then you can see what voltage it's on. Once you get up to about 54.6, it's fully charged, so you kind of know where you're at. So if you want to stop, say like around 49 volts or 48 volts, around halfway, for long-term storage, which is what I recommend, and most people recommend for lithium batteries, because that's when they're in their happiest state at 50%. You want to shut your bike off, and the only way to know what your level is at is if you turn your bike on periodically and look at your voltage chart. So you want to go just slightly higher, because I noticed once you unplug it, it does drop a hair. But that's why I leave it in my bike to charge. And another reason is if, God forbid, something would happen in the battery, you know, say catch on fire or whatever, it's in an aluminum frame, which to some extent is going to give it a little bit of protection from, you know, exploding, which I'm not saying they're going to. They probably more than likely won't. But I actually just seen a video online today on eBike USA Facebook forum about somebody's battery. I don't know what kind of bike it was, but their battery was exploding and they were squirting water on it, which was like a big no-no, because that makes some kind of toxic fumes or whatever by spraying water on it. But I just feel like it's a little bit more safe also charging it in the bike, in my opinion.
Is it possible to change the handlebars to wider ones and be able to put everything on it, including the throttle?
Okay, so somebody wanted to know if you could change the handlebars to wider ones and still put everything on it, including the throttle. Yeah, absolutely. As long as you have enough wires here, you could probably take some of this wrapping off to spread the wires out more if you had to. I actually thought about maybe putting wider handlebars on, or maybe a little bit more of a step back handlebar for my wife. I thought about doing that, and I still might. Amazon has been sold out of the ones that I wanted, and I was thinking about getting a pair off of like AliExpress or something, but I just don't know. I mean, I haven't really, she's pretty comfortable with it the way it is now, and I kind of wish I was back a little bit further on mine too, but I don't know. I might upgrade those in the future, and if I do, I'll definitely make a video and definitely put links to some handlebars in the description if I do. So you can, as far as mounting all the accessories on, depends really how wide you go. I wouldn't go too wide. I do have the extension bar on mine for some other accessories for my GoPro, for a flashlight and stuff, but being that it didn't come, mine came with a bell, but I took it off. I was able to put my cell phone holder there, and actually my little horn button I put on the brake lever here, and it's actually pretty loud. So yeah, you could get the accessory bar like that, which I have linked in the description, or you could get the wider handlebars and put more stuff on, but it really all depends how wide you really want to go.
What's the lowest mileage you've ever got on a charge?
The lowest mileage I ever got, well, I mean, obviously I've went on trips where I didn't completely drain the battery and then I recharged it, but to where I actually drained the battery pretty low, probably I would say 18 to 20 miles is probably the lowest when I actually pushed it, and that was mostly riding around here on a lot of hills. That's really the lowest.
People are asking about, someone said, do you unplug the charger from the wall before plugging it into the bike? And then also when you are done charging.
So somebody wanted to know if I unplugged the charger before I plug the bike in and then plug the charger in. No, normally I have the charger plugged in the wall and then plug the bike in. I've heard where it makes a difference maybe, but I haven't seen. I usually just have the charger plugged in the wall and plug it in the bike and usually charge it that way. Can everybody still see me good? It's really dark out here. Do you think I should end and maybe do another one another day? How many people are still watching?
You have 157.
So even more now, okay. I mean, if everybody is okay with the lighting and everything, let me.
Can see you fine. Plenty of light.
There, I adjusted them a little bit. I got more lights somewhere. I got a bunch more lights. Actually, I was gonna. So, let me just talk real quick about my channel. I originally started out doing drone videos, and I wanted to do just tech videos, tutorials, drone tutorials on, and reviews on stuff that I buy. Because like I said, I review everything, make sure I buy what I want the first time, and most of the time I have questions on stuff that I can't figure out before I buy stuff. So those are kind of questions that I like to address in my videos. So things like these lights and all kind of stuff that I've bought the past few months to just make my videos better. I've been wanting to do YouTube videos on, but I have so much fun reviewing these bikes and just riding them and doing videos on them, and I don't have a whole lot of time for YouTube. I mean, I do put a lot of time in it, trust me, so I don't have a lot of time for the other stuff, and I'd rather do stuff on the bikes because I really enjoy riding them. So one of these days I'll get back to making other videos on other things, probably in the winter. So hopefully if you guys are subscribed, you stick around and hopefully like that stuff as well. So let's go ahead and get back to the Q&As.
People are talking about the batteries being different. You just want to confirm and maybe talk about that?
Yeah, so somebody wanted to know about the batteries being different and confirm it. Yes, the battery is different on the step-thru than the original bike. The only difference is that it has the same cells, it has the same 10.4 amp hours. The only difference is the angle right here because of the way they had to make the frame, the hinge, you know, obviously the angle is different on the down tube. There's less angle on the original one than on the step-thru. And so they had to make the front of that battery a completely different angle. And if you watch my comparison video, I actually show a picture in there of the two, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But the base, the back metal part of the battery is exactly the same, only the end is a different angle, so they were not interchangeable. Unfortunately, that, like I said, it would have been nice if they could have done that, but for $300, I mean, another battery isn't too far out of price range if you wanted a spare.
Rodney wants to know if the bike will fit in a buggy, a grocery cart in a store.
So Rodney wanted to know if the bike would fit in a grocery cart in a store. I'm not sure. It'll fit in, I think it's a 50-gallon or 40-gallon tote from Lowe's. It'll fit somewhat. I bought one. I think I've only used it once. In a buggy in there, and if you did, you probably wouldn't have any room for any groceries, so you'd have to push two buggies.
Someone wants to know how to change the handlebars
Yeah, so somebody wanted to know how to change the handlebars. I'm probably, if I get another upgrade, I'll probably do that in a future video. But basically, other than unbolting everything off of here, there's just 2 bolts that hold it to the stem. You just take those 2 bolts out, and I believe the size of the handlebar where it clamps, it has to be 25.4 millimeters, I believe. So if you do upgrade your handlebars, make sure that the clamp size is, I think it's 25.4, because I believe they make a 31.62 or something, I think. Don't hold me to that, but definitely want the one that's like 25.4 or 24.5, somewhere around there. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but really easy with just those 2 bolts. You can change the handlebars.
Roger wants to know if any other bike company has contacted you to review any other e-bikes.
So Roger wanted to know if any other company has contacted me to review any other bikes. No, they have not. I would love them to. I would love to review some other bikes. No other company has. Actually, when I was in the search for a step-thru, I reached out to a few other companies because I was looking and I really couldn't find anything price comparable. This is before the step-thru actually came out. I looked at a few different brands, but I either couldn't find something that had the same size motor, or I couldn't find something that did have the same size motor that was price comparable. So I did want to kind of wait till Lectric came out with the step-thru. I'm glad I did. Really glad I did, being that they sent me this one. But even if they didn't send it to me, I probably would have bought this one instead because of the price. And with that being said, I did reach out to a lot of them, and none of them got back to me. Not one single person. And I wasn't asking for a bike for free. I was just like, hey, you know, is there any way, you know, check out my channel? I've been thinking about getting another bike. If you think, you know, is there any way, you know, I can get maybe a slight discount on it or something? And nobody even reached back out to me to even tell me no. So I kind of thought that, you know, I don't know, I kind of thought that they should at least reach back out to me and said, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately, you know, we don't do that or whatever. But with that being said, I'm glad I waited because, you know, my wife's very happy with this step-thru.
Tom said him and his wife just got 2 bikes and they love them. Can you demonstrate how to turn the lights on and off?
Okay, well, it's getting dark enough that I could actually probably show you how bright the light is. But so when your bike's on, all you got to do basically to turn the light on. So did I repeat the question? Tom wanted to know how
He wants to know how to turn the light on.
to turn the light on. So basically when the bike's on, you just hold the PAS up on, and it turns the front light on. Hold it up again and it turns it off, and it shows you on your display if it's on or off.
So go ahead and turn it on again.
So there it is on. You can see here, I don't know if it's not very bright. I mean, it's bright when you're looking at it from the front with a car, but not very bright at night. That's why I have the additional light for the back, which I could show you guys. Let me see here real quick. I think it's right here. That's why I got this light. Whoop. That's why I got this light, because it's very bright and broadcasts out really far. But basically you just hold the up arrow on. Now be careful when you're turning the light on and off, you don't hold the down arrow on, because then you're going to put it in walk mode. So if you're not on the bike and you hit the down arrow, it might take off. It'll only go like 4 miles per hour or something like that, but yeah, it definitely will. So I wonder how my battery is on my
Confirm that that's your stock light on the bike.
the light on the front here. Yes, somebody wanted to know and confirm if that's the stock light. Yes, it is the stock light. This is not. Like I said, this is the Shark 500 light, and I don't know, I keep putting it in the wrong mode, but it does all kind of different modes. But this is not. But that one on the front on both bikes is. I don't think I'm going to upgrade because I don't want to risk burning anything out.
Someone said their screen keeps showing the error E010. Do you happen to know anything about that?
So somebody wanted to know their bike keeps showing an E010. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head what error code that is. It might be a, man, I don't know off the top of my head. I usually have them saved on my phone, and then I save a picture of it, and then if I ever hear of what the error code is, I just look it up. Let me see if I can find it real quick, but it could be possibly a bad connection or motor controller or motor signal error. Like I said, it could be a bad connection down there. It could be a connection up here at your display. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. Sorry guys, bear with me. Is there any other questions, babe?
Is hydraulic brakes better? Because I don't have a lot of stopping
Okay, so so I found the codes for everything, and the E010 is a signal receiving error. So yeah, that could be a bad connection, more than likely on maybe one of your sensors. I would check all your connections on your PAS sensor, on your motor down by, but it's about 6 inches away from your back wheel. There's a connection there. You have your display connection up here. It plugs in. You have both your plugs for both your brake levers that plug in. Your throttle connection plugs in. One of those connections might be loose. Just check them all, maybe unplug them, plug them back in. There's usually little arrows on them that tells you how they go together, so be careful not to bend any of the pins, but it sounds to me like you probably just have a loose wire somewhere. Somebody wanted to know, what was the last question?
Is the hydraulic brakes better?
Okay, so somebody wanted to know, is the hydraulic brakes better? They don't have a lot of stopping power. You need to get your brakes to set in when you initially get the brakes. You need to adjust them and get them to actually bed in good. Clean your rotors with some rubbing alcohol, and the brakes that come with the bike do stop really well. They're ceramic metallic brakes. They work really well. The hydraulic brake calipers, I feel, work better, and they're easier to adjust. However, I don't think you're going to get any better stopping power with them. I just think that they just work better adjustability wise. And just they just seem a lot smoother to me, but the brake pads is really what I think is going to give you better stopping power. Now, with that being said, if you had a full hydraulic system from the brake lever all the way down, then yes, they'll probably have better stopping power because everything's hydraulic and you're not going to have to squeeze the lever as much. But the brake calipers that I upgraded to hydraulics, they're still cable driven. So, I mean, you still got to apply the pressure, but like I said, a lot of that's going to be your brake pads. So you want to make sure that everything's clean and bedded in right. If for some reason you did contaminate your brake pads, you could take them off, clean your rotor really well, and you could lightly sand down your brake pads, put them back on, and then bed them in, and it should allow you to get some better better stopping power, so maybe that would help. Any other questions?
Roger says his tires say 20 psi, but everyone I hear says theirs is 32. What is
Okay, so Roger wanted to know that why his tires say 20 psi and a lot of other bikes say 30 or 32. The CST BFTs, I believe they have like a 30 psi rating on them, and the Chow Yang tires have a 20 pound psi rating. But to be honest, I don't think most people would ride with 30 pounds in their tires anyway. I ride with 20 in mine or less, just for better comfort. So that's probably why his say 20 pounds on the Chow Yangs. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but that's why they might, I don't know why, like quality wise, if it would hurt putting 30 in or not. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it just because it says not to, but more than likely you're going to ride with 20 anyway. Once you get the feel for the bike and try some different tire pressures, you're going to probably be around the 20 or less. Unless you're a heavier rider, then you might want to up your tire pressure. All right, any other questions?
still have 177 viewers.
So the longer I go, the more viewers I've been getting. Wow. Okay, well that's
185.
wow, that's good. I appreciate everybody watching. I'm just
Some of these are repeat questions. Do you want repeat questions just for people that are joining?
yeah. So no, don't do any repeat questions. So my wife said a lot of these are repeat questions for some of the guys just tuning in. Once this video is done, it'll upload and post as a video. You guys can go back and rewatch it, or you can rewind it. I appreciate all the watch time, so we're not going to do the repeat questions just because there's so many of them. Maybe I'll shut this down soon and do another one. I didn't expect to do it this long with the hopefully you guys can still see good, but I might do another question and answers. Hopefully I get a good turnout like this. This is my first live stream ever, and it's been doing really well. I think.
How often do you ride at top speed? That bike has no business going 28 miles an hour, in my
so
opinion.
honestly, I don't ride at top speed very often. I like to cruise slow and just take everything in. That's one of the reasons I bought this bike. I really cruise usually like PAS1, PAS2, mostly PAS2 really. And on my bike, that's a little faster than the newer ones, but unless I'm out on like a backcountry road or something, then I'll bump it up and take off. But for the most part, if I'm going downhill, sometimes I'll hit 25, 28. I've even hit 30 miles per hour, but I usually tend to not go that fast. I just cruise and take in the scenery and just enjoy seeing things. If you go too fast, you pass everything up and you don't take life in. So I just like to just cruise slow and just take it all in. And trust me, you'll see things. Like I said, I've lived in where I'm at here for probably 20 years now, and I've been down roads and seen things that I haven't seen in 20 years. So.
What about, because you said a basket on the handlebars?
So,
Maybe if you didn't have all the
so somebody wants to know if you could put a basket on handlebars. I've seen some other people do it. I thought about it at one point, but I didn't want it to be in the way when I fold the bike, so I haven't done it. And we've had enough room with the bags, and we have another bag for the back for my wife's bike, and then my bags fold down into saddlebags. We haven't really needed a basket, but I have seen some other people put them on. I think the only thing you would have to be cautious about is the wires. You might have to put them underneath here or something. But if you do put some of the baskets, they mount up on the handlebars, and then they have rails that come down and bolt here. If you did that, you might have to keep your handlebar at a certain height though. So maybe once you get it set, you might be able to put it on. I'm not really too familiar with the baskets, but I've seen people do it.
Are all the new bikes going to be slower than yours going forward in PAS1?
I believe, I mean, I can't really say because I only have one of the newer ones, but I believe they did turn the PAS level down on the newer bikes, not just in the step-throughs, but I believe even in the newer original XPs. I think, like when I bought my bike, I got it back in, what was it, September of last year? I think maybe is when I got mine. So those were actually like the first ones. They actually locked the controller, some of the settings on the controller. So back then, if you got a bike, it might be faster than if you bought another one now. I can't, like I said, confirm that exactly, but yeah, that is one thing. And if you've seen my trail ride video, you'll see how much faster mine is. And that's one thing that I wish they would maybe upgrade in the future, that give you a setting to be able to adjust PAS1 to your max, whatever speed you want. So I don't really care about all the other ones, but it would be nice to be able to give you one PAS level that you can just set, say 7 miles per hour, 6 miles per hour, whatever you want. That way you can match whoever you're riding with, whether it be a person on a regular bicycle, if you're on the bike trail, or somebody on another electric bike that the PAS levels don't match. I mean, you could always use the throttle and just match their speed with the throttle, but me personally, I like to pedal and contribute. I don't like just using the throttle on the bike trail, so every time I use the pedals, my bike wants to go faster. So the only way that I mean, there is a workaround, and if you've seen my video where it is how to travel slower than PAS1 or something, I think is what it's called. Like I said, check out my playlist below. All my videos will be in there. But if you set your cruise control on 1, and then, you know, when you're in PAS1, set your cruise control slightly lower than what you want to pedal. Like say my wife's bike on PAS1 is 6 miles per hour. I'll set mine like 5.5 miles per hour on cruise, turn PAS off, and then it stays in cruise, but I can still pedal and it'll stay at that 5.5 miles per hour, and I can still contribute with the pedals. And that works great until you either but your throttle doesn't work at that point, and if you pull the brake lever, it shuts your cruise off. So it does get kind of annoying a little bit, but like I said, that would be awesome if they could put that feature in some of the maybe future models.
People are asking about how you got your hand grips off.
So I was gonna actually do that on this live stream at first because I didn't know how many people I was gonna get, so I was just gonna make like a tutorial video on changing the hand grips. Somebody wanted to know how hard it was, or an easy way to get the hand grips off. If you could lift the one corner off and maybe get some like rubbing alcohol or something, even water can work, but rubbing alcohol would probably work better if you can get some in there and just work it off. They are really hard to get off, but if you could just get them up just a hair, just to get alcohol in there, rubbing alcohol or something, you could twist them off, and then once that rubbing alcohol dries, even when you're putting your new hand grips on, put some rubbing alcohol in them. Or even water. I've used water on the foam grips, but I've heard rubbing alcohol works great. Put a little bit in there, put it on, it slides on easy, and then once that alcohol dries, then your grips will stay on really well.
Is this bike strong enough and motor powerful enough to justify $1,000 for heavy riders, 280 pounds plus? So you can look at the comparison video.
So somebody wanted to know if this bike, what was it, being $1,000?
Yeah, if it's worth $1,000 for someone who's a heavier rider, over 280 pounds.
So somebody wanted to know if it's worth $1,000 for somebody that's a heavier rider at like 280 pounds versus a smaller rider. I'm not sure. I don't weigh that much, to be honest. I don't think you'd have problem. And the bike is only $900, so that's a bonus there. It's not $1,000, it's $899 either one, and free shipping, so you can't beat that. But you could see in my size comparison video, my wife's dad, he probably weighed a pretty good bit. I'm sure 200 and some pounds easily. I don't know exactly. I think he might have said in there what he weighed, but I mean, he cruised around on it no problem. Now, the only thing it might get you is maybe up a steep hill, but you're going to have to contribute some. Anyway, I would recommend contributing up hills anyway. Well, here comes a motorcycle. I don't know, you guys are probably going to hear that. I just watched a video on YouTube, I think it was yesterday, a guy, he was going, I think he was in Colorado, and he went up this mountain on this bike, and the first couple miles he had the PAS level in like 4, and I mean, he was working that motor hard, and he did get, it cut off on him once he got like 4 miles or something, but I mean, he was using pretty much 20 amps of power the whole time. I mean, he was pedaling, but on steep hills, I recommend putting it down into a lower PAS level. I noticed my wife's bike works well on PAS 2, and then lowering your gearing down to like 1 or 2 and contributing some, that's going to really help your motor out, prevent you from possibly burning your motor out. I mean, it's just going to make your motor and battery and everything just last longer. I'm not saying that they can't handle it. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, I like to take care of my stuff, and I like to exercise anyway, so I would contribute the most you can, not just expect this to take you up the hill without pedaling at all. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, Preston's going to read you a question.
Okay, so now, sorry for the silence. We're waiting on the next question. Did anybody, I don't know if, I think I turned Super Chat on. I don't know if I don't even know if you know, I haven't.
People are giving you money.
Oh, we're supposed to say thank you.
I was commenting to some of the people.
Oh, so I don't know if my wife knows what Super Chat is or Super Stickers, but I did enable it. I didn't know if anybody was going to contribute, but
4 people gave you money.
she said 4 people did, so thank you for all of you that have contributed. I'll probably use that money after YouTube takes all their fees, obviously, to probably maybe buy some more accessories to review for you all, so thank you. Sorry about that, about not calling you out, your name's out. So from now on, if anybody contributes, make sure you let me know so I can thank them. Sorry about that again. But
Have you known of controller problems? Mine has failed twice.
okay, so Joe wanted to know if I have known about controller problems, that his has failed twice. No, I have not. I haven't had a problem with either one of my bikes. Like I said, some of that might be, like I said, if you're going up a hill and you're relying solely on throttle power, you're not contributing at all, and you're really pumping out the amperage, 20 amps, steady, constantly for a long time, you have a risk of burning stuff up. Your controller, it's going to really work that. It's going to get hot. I don't know so much about the motor. I mean, after I went up long hills, I felt the motor just because I was curious of how hot it was, and it didn't seem real hot. Even with the battery, it didn't seem real hot, but I'm sure you have a risk of burning the controller up. And actually, one thing I've noticed different on the new step-thru that I don't think I said in the comparison video is if you look where the controller is on here, can you see this?
Yeah.
There's actually like 3 holes underneath here for airflow to, I guess, allow the controller to stay cooler there. The wires go through back here, but there's like 3 holes right here. So that is one thing, it's one thing else that I noticed different. But I haven't heard of any issues with the controllers, but I'm sure there's been controllers that burn out. I mean, my son had a little electric dirt bike a few years back, and his controller burned out on there, and I had to replace it. Like I said, things happen. I mean, other bikes, controllers, I'm sure burn out too. Just depends. I mean, it could be defective, or it could be the way you're riding. But I haven't had any issues.
All right, we're going to do 10 more minutes. That'll be 9 o'clock if anyone has any more.
All right, guys, so if anybody has any more quick questions, we're going to end this at, let's say, 9 o'clock. That's 2 hours. That's way longer than what I thought I would ever go. I thought maybe like a half hour, 45 minutes, but, you know, and I want to say, you know, some of the videos, some people really comment some ignorant stuff on some of my videos. I just let it go in one ear and out the other usually. Just a lot of things like, man, you don't shut up and this and that, but honestly, in real life, I'm a pretty quiet person, so that's pretty funny. But when I get something that I enjoy and that I tend to know about. I do tend to talk a lot, but yeah, plus I don't think my batteries on my wireless mics are going to last much longer anyway. So let's take the last few questions here and we're going to wrap this up. If you guys enjoyed this and think that it was beneficial, please comment and let me know some more stuff like this, and maybe I'll do some more live streams. Let's see, what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, make sure if you guys rewatch this or anything, make sure you put comments down in there, because that's going to really help this video get recommended more. And please, on any of my YouTube videos, it really helps me out when you guys, hit the like button, put comments. I mean, if it's a quick hey, thank you, or whatever, it really helps my channel grow. And I'm really hoping to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I've been hitting about 1,000. I've been getting about 1,000 per month. So it's been pretty awesome.
Can you reset the odometer?
So somebody wanted to know, can you reset the odometer? Yes, you can. I believe it's in the manual, maybe, but there's a P setting that you can go to, and then I haven't done it, but there's a way that you can reset the odometer. At least on my original bike, you can. So if any of you are buying used bikes, you might want to be cautious of that, because somebody can always reset it and say that they don't have any miles on it. So yes, you can. And that brings me to one other thing that I don't like about these bikes so much, is not quite the bikes, but the odometer, your trip odometer. When you're on a trip, if I set both of these so that the displays don't shut off for a half hour after you stop, because if you stop to take a quick break, I believe they're set for, I forget, like 10 minutes or something. After that, your bikes will shut off automatically to save battery life, and your trip odometer resets. So on mine, I mean, it was never accurate anyway, so I didn't care much, but I like to let it rack the mileage up. Like when you start and stop, I wish it was like a vehicle where you shut it off, it would just keep calculating when you turn it back on. Everything good, babe?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. It doesn't keep the memory of your trip odometer when you shut the bike off and turn it back on. Maybe they could fix that in future updates to keep calculating. That way it'd be easier to know what kind of battery life you got, and then you can reset it yourself. That would be a nice upgrade.
Have you tried to make copies of your key?
So somebody wanted to know if I tried to make copies of my key. No, I have not. I've been really cautious not to bend mine. And if you see in my What You Should Know video, which I really recommend watching, it shows in there about how you can bend a key very easily. So make sure you guys check that out if you haven't seen it yet. And is there any other questions?
Someone asked if you need a driver's license.
So somebody wanted to know if you need a driver's license for these. I would check your local laws for sure to be, well, first of all, no, you do not need a driver's license, but I would check your local laws to see what the requirements are for e-bikes, and in your municipality, if they have any special restrictions or anything. Most of the bike laws in most cities follow the same laws as a regular bicycle. But like I said, certain places do have special laws, so you definitely want to check with that. Now, it is illegal to unlock the bike to 28 miles per hour and travel down the road that way in most places, because then it's a class 3 e-bike. In most places, a class 3 e-bike is not allowed. But the way they come with the class 2 settings, normally in most places, you're allowed to ride a class 2 e-bike. But then again, like I said, check your local laws and just make sure, and just be really mindful of others, and don't ride like a maniac and ruin it for all of us.
I have the super chat names.
Okay, so
There's five names.
so my wife has some super chat names here, so I want to thank all of you that have contributed here. Lady, was that Tao or Tao? Raphael, Ghislaine? Gisleen. I'm really butchering these. I'm sorry, guys. Gisleen, Jason, and Ron, thank you guys so much for contributing. It really means a lot. I really do put a lot of time and effort into making these videos just to educate people, just because I enjoy it. I'm actually thinking about upgrading my camera this year to a crazy expensive camera. Not that photography and video has just been pretty much just a hobby of mine, and it's gotten to be an expensive hobby, and I just enjoy doing this stuff. So I appreciate y'all definitely for the contributions. It really helps out a lot. Any other questions real quick? Is it almost 9 o'clock?
You still got 6 minutes.
Okay, I got 6 more minutes for some questions. If anybody has any final questions.
People, let me see, where's it go? People locally. You have
So somebody wanted to know if you could buy tires or tubes online or locally. I have not seen any locally, the 20x4s. So I recommend purchasing some extra tubes on Amazon and just having them or taking them with you. Maybe bike shops might start carrying them. I don't know. But like Walmart, I don't see a 20x4 tire there or tubes. So I recommend purchasing them on Amazon. At least for the tubes. Tires, you could probably get, I know Lectric has been sold out of them, but they might be able to get them for you.
good.
All right, guys, so can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me?
We don't have any comments yet that they can hear you.
I don't know if...
Back up. Yep, you're good.
All right. Cool, thanks. So apparently I get about 2 hours. That's good to know. I get about 2 hours with my... Oh, look, I still got pretty good battery on this. This is all Voxcon, cheap lavalier mic setup. So on the receiver end, you only get about 2 hours, but on the transmitter, I still got 2 out of 3 bars. So I never knew how long. I was going to do, I did do one review on these, but I was going to do more reviews on these. But there you go, guys, a good cheap lavalier mic setup.
So a lot of people are anticipating getting their bike soon. Do you want to give them some tips on when you first get your bike?
Yeah, so a lot of people are getting their bike soon. They want to know about some tips. First tip is I recommend watching all my... I mean, I'm not just saying this. Watch my whole playlist because there's stuff in there about how to set cruise control, how to travel slower in PAS levels. I mean, there's a lot of good information in there. Even on just some of the regular videos, I always throw 1 or 2 tips in there. I try to make them educational every time I do a video. I tend to not post just family videos anymore because those videos never do well. I'm going to start posting more stuff on my wife's channel, just the family stuff, my kids' races and stuff. So if you guys want to subscribe to her channel, if you're interested in stuff like that, just his bike races and just family video stuff. But anyway, to get back to that,
Like checking the brakes and things like that.
what do I recommend? So check out all my other videos. Check out my What You Should Know video on your first e-bike. That one has some pretty good information in it about the key, the battery, stuff like that. But yes, definitely go over the whole bike when you get it. Make sure, one thing you're going to have to make sure your derailleur guard's not bent in. I've mentioned that on many different videos. Make sure your brakes are adjusted correctly. Wipe down your rotors with rubbing alcohol. Just go over everything. Make sure all your nuts and bolts are tight. And when you first start riding it, try it in a level parking lot with the PAS level set to 0. Get comfortable with the bike before kicking it up into PAS 1 and using the throttle. And
Amid, super chat.
Amid, thank you, Amid. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So yeah, just definitely check over everything when you get your bikes. And any more final questions? I think next time we do this, I have 2 lavalier mics. I think next time I'm going to put my wife on one too, so that I don't have to keep repeating the questions if I do another live stream. And if you guys have any feedback at all on what I could be doing better, I mean, maybe this is too late, you guys can't see, I don't know. Make sure you please comment, let me know, because I'm always up for learning, always up for trying to make it better for all of you. So, yeah, anything else?
We're just getting a lot of positive feedback. Everyone's saying thank you. Good job.
All right, awesome. I guess I didn't do too bad for my first live stream ever. It took a little bit of figuring out. I still don't know if everybody got notified because my wife didn't get notified that I was having one. I had to go on there and find it. So, yeah, I don't know. Just this whole YouTube thing has been a learning curve for me, and something I've been enjoying as well with these bikes. So. If you guys have not, I'm sure a lot of you are from the Facebook forum, but if you have not seen that yet, make sure you guys check that out too, because there's a lot of good feedback and a lot of good comments and stuff in there. And another thing I wanted to mention too, a lot of times, you know, when you're viewing my videos, a lot of times you get a better experience right on my channel viewing them than rather through Facebook, because I think you could do better with comments and stuff like that when you're actually viewing it through YouTube. And so I don't know. And I should do a video on one day about how to actually see stuff. Like in my channel, a lot of people comment and say they can't find the links that I put. Right next to the title description, there's usually a little arrow. If you click on that arrow, it opens up the whole video description, anything that I describe about the video, and usually where all my links are at and everything. That's how you open that up. So I don't know, maybe me doing a video on that. I think I did put that in a few of my videos before, but just wanted to mention. So yeah, open up the video description on almost every one of my e-bike videos. I have all the links for all my accessories and stuff, so if you guys are interested in those, which I as a disclaimer, they are affiliate links, so anytime you guys do use those links, I do make a small commission. I have to disclose that anytime I post the links or anytime I mention that, so make sure you guys keep that in mind if you're using any of those links.
Alright, it's 9 o'clock.
Alright guys, so it's 9 o'clock here, probably only like 6 o'clock in California, but I appreciate everyone watching. I'm glad this was such a success. How many people are still watching?
159.
Well, 159 people still watching. That's awesome. I never thought that I would have that many continue to watch, but I appreciate all of you watching my videos, giving me the thumbs up and the thumbs down ones. I know there's like at least 6 to 10 of you at every single e-bike video, probably competitors, or probably, who knows, but I always get some nasty comments on them. But I appreciate all of you, all my subscribers. Thank you very much, and I will probably be doing another one of these. Like I said, give me some feedback, give me some suggestions on videos down in the actual video about stuff. I really appreciate all the super chats I got. I just turned it on. I didn't know if I'd get any. I didn't want to ask for any. That's not how I am, but I really appreciate all of you that have donated. And I will definitely put the money to good use, either with camera equipment to make it better for you, maybe a 360 camera. I probably could do pretty good with that, but I heard they're hard to edit, and now I'm rambling on again, so. Alright, thanks for watching, and see you on the next one. And I don't know how I can leave the chat open after this. I think when my wife ended it last time, the chat closed, so maybe she could figure that out, how to leave the chat open after we close it. If she can, that'll stay open. If not, it'll just get posted as a video, and I will see you guys around on the next one. I should end this the way I always do.